Hey YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? Just on the way to teach a piano lesson or two or three, and you guys are looking right about double chin. And usually, I do car stuff like this. It's facing a different direction, but what the heck, you know. I really should show you my six pack, my abs, but that's just kind of arrogant. Yeah, I'm getting slim. Definitely getting slimmer. And in case you guys are still wondering, some of that double chin I have is genetic. So even if I get really slim, I'm still gonna have this double chin a little bit. Just will get smaller, that sort of thing. Yeah. So, okay. That wasn't really what I talked about. The main thing I wanted to talk about here was I was, just for the heck of it, looked into this job with Varsity Tutors in Bellevue, Washington. Did an online interview. It was kind of weird. I'm not really super psyched up about getting a job or not. It'd be nice. It'd be a nice thing. I just don't know. I don't know, honestly, what they're thinking. If they're, offering music, you can be a music tutor. That's what I'm wanting to be, as a music tutor. But their whole, you have to go through all this rigmarole with ACT and SAT scores, and have you answer a question that's not even musically related. So it's kind of like the interview they had me do. It was just weird. Anyway, what I wanted associated with that is the whole idea of work, employment, and what we do, how we spend our time in that regard. And I'm looking at comparing two different guys here when talking about work, income. Jordan Peterson versus Jocko Willink. You guys probably have heard of Jordan Peterson, but if you haven't, he's a big name, especially on YouTube. He's a very big name. I've been aware of him for a while, but he's scary intelligent. Very. Oh, he's one of the sharpest guys out there. No, I'm not saying I agree with everything he says, but I certainly agree with most of what he says. And he has some very good points that he makes. I just can't recommend him enough. Jordan Peterson. He might seem like he leans conservatively, but in all honesty, it doesn't really matter where you fall politically. You'll get something out of his stuff. He has something for everyone. Anyway, comparing what he's been talking about with careers, with regard, comparing it with Jocko. Jocko's, Navy SEAL guy, very, very buff, strong, big, tough. Oh, wow. Scary tough guy. And good man. I like Jocko. But he says something very differently about the world of work. And let me get to the meat of what I'm talking about here. So Jordan Peterson is talking about how, you need to not be basically a slave to your employer. like yes, if you have a fine, decent job that you're doing fine in, great, you're getting money, cool. But could you earn more money? Not just could you earn more money, but could you be happier? Could you be more? But he talks about there's a difference between the meaningfulness of a job, and I think how enjoyable it is. He said enjoyableness, it's fleeting, it's fun, it's great, but if it's something that's meaningful, if it's a meaningful job, then that'll give meaning to your life. That's actually going to be, in the long run, much better for you. Having a meaningful job. So, that's Jordan Peterson. Jocko Willink was talking about what do you do if you're in a rut, kind of thing. Well, Jocko's advice is wake up early. Don't make excuses for yourself. Work your butt off, right? Don't be late to work. Where have you heard this before? And this stuff, I think we can pretty much figure out for ourselves. What we can't always figure out for ourselves is if we're doing well at work, or we're doing what we need to do, we're doing okay at least. Why are many of us not very happy with our work or whatever? Why do we not feel fulfilled? And there's all kinds of things that go into looking for a different job. If things are just kind of okay, the thing is that Jocko basically just is offering some basic advice about how to get yourself going. Clean up your room, get in shape, all that stuff. And that's all fine and good. I'm not saying this is of no worth. It definitely is of worth. It's just, I think what we often want to hear, something more, or what we need to hear actually. It can go both ways, but Jordan Peterson's advice about, hold on, who are you? Who am I? And how does your work, he talked about one thing of many things, work was one of many things he talked about, but it's like, if your work is not meaningful to you, and you're just been working at your job for a long, long time, is that taking away from you? Is that hurting you, or is that benefiting you? Who's that benefiting? A company likes to have the best workers possible for as long as possible. That's what every company wants that. Every institution, they want the best. They want the best. They want to minimize how much they're paying them, of course, and they don't want a whole lot of turnover. Or if they do have turnover, they want better workers. They want the new hires to be better than the old ones. That's what everybody wants, right? That's an employer. Well, how many times do we do things because our employer likes it rather than we like it? Or how many times do we do things because someone else wants us to do? Now, if someone else wants us to do something, I personally think if we really want to do something for someone else, it should be a friend, a close friend, or like family, or husband-wife thing, or kids. Something along those lines. Church members, if you're something like kind of like that. When you're like bending over backward for your employer or the government, especially your employer, you want to get ahead. You want to show your boss you're serious about your work. You putting the company first. There's so many times when I don't even know. I probably don't even know the tiniest minuscule particle. I have no clue about how all the crap that people are going through. Still, I've mentioned this before in my other videos. I'm serious. I only know what I've been through in my own life personally, and much lesser extent everybody else's lives. So there's things I cannot imagine that other people are going through that have to do with how their employer treats them. Yeah. Jocko was saying things like the employer is more in the right. Maybe he's inferring that, or at least he didn't talk about it. Maybe it's your employer that's not right for you. You can always, the government try to penalize employers for things that they do wrong, but sometimes anyway. It's always, I think, in my opinion, best to go for the work that is the best work you can get. And you definitely, I think people, if they're just the slightest bit unhappy with their work, and they have a bachelor's degree or a master's or something, or they have vocational training, or they can get better work, then go for that better work. But if that's all I can find, that's all I can find right now. So, sometimes, being in a rut is so easy to get into. Some ruts are fine if you're more comfortable with it, but you have to break out of those ruts sometimes. Right now, we're kind of forced into a rut with COVID-19 to a certain extent. Many of us, most of us, a lot of us. So I have to wrap this up about to teach here. Bi-level means look up Jocko Willink, getting out of a rut, Jordan Peterson, both those guys. But if I had to go with one or the other, I'm in the Jordan Peterson camp. No offense to Jocko. I love Jocko. He's a great guy. But Jordan is the one that you want to listen to because, we don't live in communist Russia. Old Russia. We don't live in communist China. We are in control of our lives. Yeah. It's just important not to be a slave to your job. You need our job so you can live. But, it's in our hands to get always better stuff, I think. Or have a meaningful life. And a meaningful life can be a life of struggle, too. It doesn't always mean everything goes our way. So, all right. You guys leave me thoughts and comments below. Catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.